be here, to be opening really the session, and obviously really looking forward to hearing the journey, and where people are up to, and really if there are any things that we can be helping with further, in terms of next steps as well. So really looking forward to the session, and obviously this piece, and the support that's been able to be provided is really underpinned by a number of different pieces that are at play and have come in, and partly that, whilst this is a very busy slide, I've kind of deliberately made it busy because over the last couple of years, the team that's really been behind making these opportunities available have been busily beavering away to bring about, if you like, the front end, which is now Leicester Startups Community Interest Company. And really, there's a number of players and actors that have been involved with bringing this into play. And one of the things that colleagues and different organisations, what they've done is really come together because of our passion and our drive to actually bring about opportunities for startups in the area. We're not necessarily servicing all startups, and what we are doing is really providing support to scale and grow opportunities, where they've got some kind of technology within there. And obviously there's a number of other providers that are in the region that enable and provide the support to other types of startups. And so what we're trying to do is really look at how we can provide that. And obviously the Accelerator programme that was brought into play in 2020 was really about actually enabling that further. And obviously the Leicester Startup Co-working Project has been really the spearhead, led by University of Leicester and then other partners in there, to actually bring into play all the support that we've been able to provide, and do that on a subsidised and obviously free basis to deliver on that. And then really what I did want to share with you was some of the impact that this has brought in, and we will be sharing this more widely in a little bit more of an official report. So these are some of the stats so far. And I think, you know, Pete, who was the previous project manager on this particular project, he can lay claim to the fact that he brought about Startup Week and really spearheaded that piece of work. So it is a lot of energy, time and effort of a number of people to bring into the fore the different activities to actually draw this community together. There's a number of people that I really thank at the end, in terms of others that have contributed really heavily in terms of this, and that was referencing Pete Hitchings. And then really what I did want to say was that going forward, one of the things that we're really looking at is really the challenges that lay ahead, is ensuring that we've got sustainability for this. So what will happen is we will transition into Leicester Startups. Along with that is really looking at the sustainability and the ongoing support. So there's a range of different pillars that we'll be pulling in there. Is really looking at the issues. So say, for example, the chasm or the gap, if you like, of funding that is in this area, and seeing what we can do in regards to that. What else can we actually be doing for diverse people, to people from diverse backgrounds, female entrepreneurs, and really thinking about all the things that we need to be driving forward to make sure that we've got a really vibrant startup community that is actually, you know, generating jobs, as well as high-end delivery and high-end skilled jobs in the area as well, and opportunities for Leicester and Leicestershire. So from our side of things, we want to be able to make sure that you've got that feed of skill base as well, and hence why universities are involved and want to make sure that we've actually got industries in the area that allow that. So for me, really, this whole week, Innovation Week, is about us driving forward and enabling, enhancing, and supporting individuals who are looking to grow and flourish and thrive at this point. And it's really for us to see that we've got things in play, funding in play. We're also working with partners, and we're actually drawing on the strength of all the things we've got here in the region, and doing that to the best of our ability. So just as a final piece, really, to say that a huge thank you to our mentors and really the team here. So Sam, Manish, and then my colleagues Ben, Pete, Rob, James Bergmar, Simon Baines. So there's a number of people that have contributed to this, including colleagues within the University of Leicester, and probably a special mention to Andrew Trivedi, who really has been the one that wrote the application, making sure that we got where we needed to be as well. So big thank you to all our partners, and there's many other colleagues and friends that have really made this possible. And I suppose really we can only do this whilst we grow a community of people who are striving forward to make Leicester be the place to start business and put it on the map for that. So really want to hand over to the main session, hand back to Sam, but just to say that from University of Leicester's point of view, we're delighted to be involved with this, have been from the start, and will be continuing to support this as a partner and a stakeholder in the region. Okay, that's from me. I'm going to hand over to Sam, and look forward to hearing all the different journeys that people have taken.
Thanks, Virginia. And whilst we're on thank yous, a couple of people in the chat, and myself included, obviously want to, and I'm sure many others, you also need to be included. Get a big pat on the back for the part that you've played in this, getting this project and initiative to where it is today. So, yeah, just as a building on what Virginia said, we're here to work with high growth, scalable startups in the Leicestershire area. We've been doing all sorts of things, such as running a weekly help desk on a Friday. We've launched a help engine, which is where how you access all of our mentors. We run regular events, of which this is one. We've got a podcast, which Manish manages. We're going to be opening, fingers crossed, hopefully, our brand new co-working space in October. Can't say too much more about it at the moment because I haven't signed on the dotted line. That's looking very promising. So loads of stuff. And of course, accelerators, which is what today's session is all about. I've whisked through quite a few things there. You can find everything about all the range of services that we offer. It's all free of charge. It's on our website, Leicester Startups. And if you haven't already subscribed to our newsletter, I highly recommend doing that, because we'll make announcements around, for example, the co-working space through there. So what is this all about? Well, we decided to run an accelerator last year. It ran for 6 weeks and it went really well. Despite sort of the lead-in time, we just about managed to pull it off. But when I say we, I'm talking about the wider community, the people that contributed towards it. And so we listened to what the 8 participants said last year, and we ran it again this year, January, the demo day finishing on the 1st of April. And it was significantly better. And you can see both of those demo days on our YouTube channel. I enjoyed both programs. The second one was particularly enjoyable because we'd ironed out a lot of the creases, and we felt that we delivered a better service. And I really enjoyed working with all 12 of the participants. We've got 5 of them here today. In fact, we've got 6. Harshi's here, so we'll hear from those shortly. It was a lot of fun, and you might have heard at the very beginning, Emma and I were talking. It went from 100 miles an hour to nothing, and it was a real letdown, and I miss it. And so we're going to run another one. In fact, we're going to continue running these for the foreseeable. The one in October, we have a date on our website. That may change. We've got a funding bid at the moment. So in 4 weeks' time, we may be in a position to offer a greatly enhanced program. That'll be 10 weeks, not 6. But I'll stop talking there because it might not come off. I don't want to get too excited. But come what may, we anticipate opening 4 applications in July for the October intake. So if you like what you see today and think you have a high growth scalable startup or an idea for one, then the Accelerator could be a great way of taking the next few steps. So yeah, it was 6 weeks. We ran 14 workshops. We had a Monday morning check-in. There was a Friday afternoon roundtable. We managed to make 109 connections between the Accelerator participants and the mentors, which far exceeded anything we thought we'd achieve. And so, yeah, very, very grateful to everyone that contributed across everything that we did. And so just finally from me, more thank yous. From me personally, to the Leicestershire Enterprise Partnership for funding the project, and our colleagues at the Biz Gateway that funded both those accelerator programs. So very grateful to them, and then all the mentors, and there are just far too many to go into. So, bit of housekeeping before we start and hear from the participants. We are recording this session. If you could leave your microphones off, cameras on, off, whichever suits you. The chat is open. So following 5 minutes intro from each of the guests here today, I've got some questions, and in fact, I've got loads of questions. This could go on for hours, but if I see questions coming through in the chat, I'll prioritise those. So please start to think about what you might want to ask and stick them in there. Right, that's enough of the preamble. Let's get into it. So in no particular order, just because I can see your face on the screen, Emma. I'm going to pick on you first, I'm afraid. So each of the participants are going to have 5 minutes to do a quick elevator pitch and then the journey they've been on since they've completed the Accelerator.
I'm rubbish at this if I go first, though, Sam.
That's why I picked on you. To build it up, to make you.
Thanks, really appreciate it. Okay, hi there. For those of you who don't know me, I'm director of a consultancy called Future We Want. My area of kind of specialism is sustainability and climate change and carbon footprinting in particular. And for years, I've been trying to find the best way to communicate to people about climate change and carbon footprinting, because it's like such a dry thing and it can be quite boring. And many people are actually terrified about the prospect of the planet being completely screwed. So actually trying to start those conversations is quite a tricky thing. And so the most successful way of doing this we've found is to actually play games with people. 6 years ago, my business partner and I she produced the game idea, and I said, let's just make this into a company for a carbon footprint game that's based on the book by Mike Berners-Lee, which is called How Bad Are Bananas? So we have quite a banana theme going on. Sorry to those of you who don't like bananas, because I know there are some of you out there who don't. There are people who don't like chocolate as well. What's that about? But anyway, so we produced a game, and we've been selling a physical game into universities and businesses for the last 6 years. Back in end of last year, I applied for a Women in Innovation Award, and I've now received a chunk of money to actually produce a digital carbon footprint game. And then was lucky enough to get onto the Accelerator programme, which fundamentally has really pushed forward the developments that we've had. It was amazing, an amazing experience. So I met that many people who were incredibly valuable to the company and to myself and to my development through the process. And I learned a ruck of stuff about business that I just didn't know previously, and I'm still learning. So the cohort of whom I'm just one, we're still meeting, and I'm still getting something valuable out of every meeting. Regardless of who comes and what's said. So it's a fantastic environment in which to develop your company, a very supportive environment. So there you go, there's a bit of a pitch there for your accelerator program. So when I started on the accelerator, I didn't really know much about certain business things. I know a lot more now. I did a lot of the things that we were advised to do. So I've actually got, look, things like this. Founder's Dilemma. I've got the Lean Startup over here. I've been reading books, talking to many people on the program, and it's the kind of update from me with regards to where we are. So we hadn't pushed forward on the digital carbon footprint game at all when I started, and I had no idea what my tech solution was going to be. And so the big plus for us is we have our lead game developer starting in post full-time from the 1st of August. Yay! And that was as a result of me going on a training course and having a chance to talk to somebody who introduced me to somebody else, who introduced me to somebody else, and then conversations started happening, and I found somebody who was perfect, who dropped out of the sky at just the right moment. So apparently that's what happens in business. Just put it out there and the universe will answer. So that's the big one for me. We've also now commissioned somebody to produce our market assessment for us. So we're exploring the market, having an in-depth look at how we're going to be pitching this to people, what they're expecting, etc., and trying to figure out which elements of the market we're going to take this to first, because obviously climate change is something we all need to know about, but which bits of the market are we actually going to pitch to first? We've nearly got a legal agreement signed with Mike Berners-Lee with regards to his material. That was another requirement of the programme that have funded me. And that's actually been great because it's meaning that we're building the relationship that we have at the moment. We've got a bananas board that kicks off next Tuesday, and I'm just about to send the paperwork out for that. I was working on that this morning. So we're having a bit of oversight to what we're delivering, and there's all sorts of experts on that board as well. Who are helping us with our project, and we've got plans now for how we're going to be launching later in the year and in the new year, and also some kind of background plans for how we can expand quickly, because the lead game developer was working on gamified learning for another organisation who were expecting to have 1 million users by now, and they've got 7.5 million. So I'm hopeful that we might have a similar degree of success. So, but fingers crossed, watch this space. So if you need to learn about climate change and carbon, then we are future we want. And there might be a how bad a banana thing in your face at some point very soon. That's enough from me.
Thanks, Emma. My dog's just decided to randomly start barking, so apologies for any background noise. Dhruv, you're next on the screen, so can I pick on you next, please?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, my name is Dhruv, co-founder at Tuck. Essentially, Tuck is a rewards application that connects consumers. So, and by consumers, I mean the people of Leicester, to local independent small businesses, and then we reward them with shopping. We've seen a huge shift over the past year of people shopping locally, supporting their communities, and we're basically here for it to stay. Our drive, our motto, our vision is essentially to support small businesses all over the UK. When I say we, me and my co-founder Neil Thakra, actually came up with the idea at a cafe in August. Neil was a small business owner. He struggled with getting visibility. He struggled with getting sales, and it's very tough for a small business owner. When you think about large businesses, they have teams of people dedicated to growing that business, social media marketing experts. A small business owner has nobody. A small business owner has himself or herself, and they do everything they can to make the business succeed. So we came up with the idea of having a platform for them. And then we said, well, we have a platform, but how do we get people to actually shop with small businesses? And that's where the cashback/reward bit came in. Where are we now? We've just finished our funding round. So we've valued our company at 1.5 million and completed our first ever funding round. We've got 7 angels on board who are brilliant. They range in the sort of community sector. There's some ex-founders, and there's also some ex-partners at large firms. We've also been shortlisted for Digital Innovation of the Year at the Leicestershire Live Innovation Awards, which take place in September, which would be a great opportunity for us again to network with people and get our brand out there. In terms of the business side of things, we have approximately 40 businesses across Leicester signed up to our platform. Those businesses include sort of cafes and bistros, restaurants, independent female-led independent businesses, and it's just brilliant. One side of our platform is built up with users, with businesses, sorry, and we're now trying to build up the other side of the platform with consumers. So we started our marketing campaigns, both online and live, in order to get more users. The accelerator for us was phenomenal. We came in the accelerator thinking we knew it all. What we realized was we knew nothing. Ben and Sam did an amazing job of getting so many people in front of us, from marketing experts to ex-founders to people in equity and fundraising to customer development experts. And we learned so much. We learned that to sell your product, you should not go out selling. You need to become friends with your early adopters, and then you should make them your biggest advocates, which we didn't know. I truly believe it was because of the accelerator that we are where we are now, with fundraising, with the award, with businesses on our platform. So yeah, that's it in summary.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to see an alternative way of pitching, you must check out Tuck's demo day pitch on the YouTube channel. So yeah, very unusual, and I guess it had some success because you raised not just off the back of that, obviously, but yeah, well worth checking out.
Thank you.
Right, Thomas, I can see you next, please.
Yes, thank you, Sam. Okay, a lot have happened since the accelerator. We pivoted since. So at the beginning, from April in the accelerator, we were more an influencer marketing platform for restaurants, right? Where they would boost their sales with influencer marketing. A lot of things were, the platform itself didn't change, but actually what we've seen is we needed to understand the English that we need to use in order to get businesses, consumers, and influencers on board. So what we are right now, we're not only focusing on restaurants, but any business. So we're more Eki, which is marking the pivot between eKitchenette to Eki, is a marketing and tech platform. It actually aims at bringing like the power of personal recommendation, but online. So any intermediate would actually usually recommend food products to their friends and family. We're going to be incentivizing that in a larger scale, right? So the value proposition here that we're selling to the businesses, that they're actually overspending in marketing, ads, and overspending on influencers. And why do they do that, right? We are democratizing the influencer. We're actually telling them, you know what, if you want to launch your business, just use the influencers to outsource all your marketing, save all your money on marketing, use it in different way, target your 2x, 3x, right? Whatever you feel like your user base and your revenue is good. Then when you get there, thanks to the influencer, all the influencers you're actually contracting, you can actually use your money, the marketing budget that you would have, intelligently. That's smart money. So instead of, you can actually get to the 10x later on. The message has been brilliant. We've actually have, instead of customers, we have business partners. We're going to be testing very soon in some restaurants where we're going to bring five influencers doing some sort of experiencing the restaurant food, creating content, and then promoting on their social media platforms. We're going to get this result, the data, and then show it to the restaurant, even though we're still like, we didn't finish the product because we're self-funded with zero funds in reality and bootstrapped. We are actually using all those ways and actually being agile in a way that we need to get there in any possible means. The real added value here is for the businesses is building an algorithm that will be matchmaking the business's brands to the influencer's personal brand. A lot of time, many businesses have invested into influencers, even though the person itself is good, but the followers that actually are on like with him does not match the product's business. So we are a product based promotion instead of brands promotion. Influencers will gain through Iki, being an Iki influencer, you're building your personal brand, gaining more influencers, gaining more followers, and then like this you can always build your reputation, and on the side outside of Iki, you're going to be able to make deals with brands and be their ambassador personally. That's that. And another thing is we're actually one of the only ones that are anywhere in the world where we want to give an option pool for customers, meaning users, businesses, and influencers. We're allocating Ali, Datu, my co-founder, and I, 15% of our shares to our consumers, influencers, and businesses, making them owning a piece of every online transaction that will happen in the UK. Power to the people. They're the one that actually will make a change in this world. Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas. Thank you very much. Mandeep, could I ask you to go next, please?
Yeah, hi guys. Good to see everyone. Yeah, good to know everyone's doing well. So I'm Mandeep Nagra, co-founder of PIO. Co-founded PIO alongside my close friend John, which can't be in the call today. What we do, we offer an alternative payment solution for e-commerce businesses to accept payments from customers, allowing them to make payment using their online bank app. So just basically offering a new way in terms of how customers can make payments alongside sort of their lifestyles, quick, easy payments, a lot more secure. Essentially, that's what we do. I've echoed this before, and Leicester Startups was great for us. It helped us sort of A to Z of the whole business direction we were going. We're now in a position where we've even brought the development onshore, development team. So we basically sourced the development team onshore. We had an offer for investment from a personal investor, but John and I have actually decided we're going to bootstrap this as far as we can. And basically what the Accelerator program helped as well is speaking to a lot of mentors. We had some great advice. It was essentially, look, what do you want to ultimately do with your business? Where do you want it to go from what you can do yourself? And what do you believe in? Do you believe in your product? How much do you believe in it? And John and I do believe this is a changing way in terms of how payments will be made in the future. We're quite early in the space, so we have got time in terms of bootstrapping ourselves. John and I have had business in the past that we were able to churn money from and pump it into PIO. So for us, it's worked well. And Leicester Startups has been a great factor for us in terms of helping us to identify the direction we wanted to go in. Even while we were on the Leicester Startups, there was some big changes that happened within PIO that's ultimately been the way forward for us, and it's helped us basically define our path now as well. So yeah, I think things are going well, and we're looking to launch now in September. We've identified the customers that we will be selling our products to. We've got about 50 odd businesses waiting to use the product and offer that out to customers, and that's where we're at the moment. So yeah, definitely. I'd recommend anyone here on the call today that's looking at Leicester Startups and what they offer. It's definitely worth investing your time into the program, because for us personally, I know it probably echoes with everybody else that's been on the program as well. It's been a great help. So yeah, definitely, I'd say take it and just take that step forward. If you believe in something that you're doing, just go for it. You're never gonna have an opportunity like this again. It's something like I moved away from a nice corporate sort of role. I took a dive into the deep end into this, and I haven't looked back. For me, it's been great. So yeah, definitely, I'd say to everyone else, just do it, just go for it.
Thanks, Wendy. Thank you. Nathan, please.
Hey Sam, can you see me?
Yes. Yep. Go for it. Thanks.
Sorry, bit of a slow connection. Apologies. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Nathan Holmes from Silent Screen. What I thought I'd do, if it's okay, Sam, is just to actually take people through the live tool. If I can share my screen.
Yeah. Let me see if I can try that. Although, Manish, you might need to. You're the host now. I don't know if you can enable it.
Yeah, I've just done that.
Oh, you're in. Brilliant.
Thank you very much. So it's just a high-level context. So essentially, I started Silent Screen as a non-technical founder. My biggest reason for going into the Accelerator program was actually look to find a technical lead. But one of the, I suppose, the key learnings that I took from the first 2 or 3 weeks was that actually there's an awful lot of tools out there that can help you build things yourself. From talking to a couple of technical leads elsewhere, they actually gave me, I suppose, the confidence to go and build something myself, which is what I'll show you in just a second. So what you're seeing now is built by myself. I'm non-technical. I've used something called Bubble, which is a non-code platform to build this. And for me, that's been my greatest learning, greatest takeout. I suppose the confidence to go and try things and kind of learn things, which the Accelerator gave me. In essence, Silent Screen is a project reporting and prioritization tool for medium and large businesses. It's not looking to replace project management tools. So if you look at the kind of issue, the slide on the left-hand side, project management tools will remain. What it's looking to replace is actually the whole load of kind of cottage industry that product owners and project managers and business analysts constantly updating people in the business, be it via PowerPoints, Excels, kind of emails, Word documents, however it may be. There's an awful lot of reporting going on, but it's going on a one-to-one basis. Just on the right-hand side, Silent Screen, I suppose, looks to provide a cloud-based single point of data, accessible by everybody in terms of ability to enter in data, and accessible by anybody in terms of actually being able to understand the information. And what that allows is allows people to actually make proper decisions on a project. So if I just take you in a very just a quick minute, I won't go into any significant detail. Just a fictitious company I've set up. And what you'll have here is you'll have a dashboard with a whole range of different projects. As I said, this is cloud-based, so anybody can access this on their phone, on their desktop, walk into a meeting or kind of sitting in the meeting itself. You can filter and prioritize based on projects you follow. You can filter and prioritize based on, let's say, the status of projects. And in each project, the absolute key is that each project should be able to be understood within 5 minutes. So it's not looking to replicate something like Confluence or Jira, where you have a whole raft of information. This is just going to flick through, looking to replicate high level information. So in 5 minutes, can I understand what is it that this is looking to deliver? Who's it looking to deliver it to? What sorts of timelines and budgets are you working against, and where do you sit against there, and what's been achieved so far? As a prioritization, where does this sit as a prioritization amongst all of the other projects within the business at the moment? Who are the key people working on this? And this information is all managed by effectively editors, and you can set up who edits and who doesn't edit a project. So you can have absolute control over who does this. You've got the ability as an individual to make personal notes instead of using a notepad. You can actually read a project, make some notes on this, and then report back. And then the other bits you can do in here, again, you can control all of this. It's got the ability to set a prioritization of every project. So within a working area, again, you can say that, let's say the key senior managers will control this. The key senior managers will meet maybe every 2 weeks, every month, and they might look to reprioritize work. And that reprioritization will happen instantaneously, be communicated down into the tool instantaneously, and most importantly, communicated out to the workforce instantaneously. So in a nutshell, this is Silent Screen. It's a project reporting and prioritization tool. So the key benefits for this is it's a single place for product owners and project managers to enter in information instead of the cottage industry. It's a single place that everybody can go and view every project rather than kind of digging around on emails or having to contact people. Equally, it's a single place for prioritization. It, I suppose, A, enables prioritization, B, it enforces prioritization, and C, it allows the people in the business to understand what work in their inbox they should be doing. It's important work rather than urgent work. There's a few other bits and pieces in here as well, but just for the sake of brevity, that's the key functionality. And as I said, my big learning, I'll stop showing now. My big learning on the Accelerator was just around the confidence and plugging into UX designers, plugging into technical leads, talking to SEO experts, etc., etc. to go and give it a go. So that's what I've done. Very briefly, where am I now? I've got live users on this, which has been great. So I've got 4 companies on this already, and I currently work for Barclays. I've got some further conversations around proof of concept, quite a detailed proof of concept with Barclays. So that will probably take a little bit of time to work through, but no, things are going well, which is great.
Thanks, Nathan. Questions come up for you. So yeah, go on. Let's start. I'd like to give Harsh a few minutes, but just a quick one. Could this replace other management tools like Monday.com?
Not really. So Monday.com is a great project management tool, and I think that will still exist. That manages the details of the project and has the Gantt charts and the full detail, the full resourcing plan. This is more around a project reporting tool. So for me, it's coupled in with Monday. So you use Monday as an everyday working tool on the project itself, and then you would use this as a supplementary tool. It might even be a plug-in into Monday.com. That's one of the routes to market that I'm looking at. That this then allows everybody in the business to understand what's going on, which Monday doesn't do today. Monday is very, very good for the detail. Monday is not so good for the overview and the prioritization piece. But cracking question.
Quick follow-up to that. Do you have any plans for integration with other platforms? Oh, you've just answered that, sorry.
Yeah, I'd love to. And so this is obviously my technical skills are limited by the tools that are on the market. So I can do certain bits from what I've learned. I'm talking to a company at the moment who offer more technical capabilities than I do, and potentially might look to partner with them. But absolutely, what I'd like to do is get this out to more companies, get proof of concepts, get working models. And Yasir, I saw your note in the chat. I'd love to reach out to you to get some contacts in the wider Leicester area of businesses where this could be useful. And ultimately, off the back of that, if I can prove there's use in having it, I'll absolutely look to develop it. But I think the key thing for me is to prove the use before I build the functionality.
And I've got a quick question. Sorry, follow up. You mentioned Bubble, low code, no code. You was it 2 days? You went on a crash course and basically taught yourself how to. You've just did the thing that you showed up then. That was okay. That was quite impressive.
So I mean, what I just showed is a live active website. Anybody can go on there now. This is a live tool. So I originally started off with a Figma design in terms of the UX. Bubble, I was self-taught via an awful lot of YouTube videos, Sam. So I think I started this in week 3 or 4 of the Accelerator. I had a working model by the end of, I think, 2 weeks of working on it, but it's improved significantly over the last 2 months. But yeah, no, an awful lot of reading and online tutorials.
Well done. Harsh, I'm mindful. I wasn't sure if you were going to. Well, I hadn't necessarily invited you to talk, but you were on the Accelerator program. So if you feel comfortable, it'd be great to hear.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to talk. That's why I'm in like a
No, I know. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I didn't want to.
I'll go for a quick. It's good seeing everyone today. It brings back memories. It's so good. Yeah. So when I was part of the Innovation Hub, as a University of Leicester student, so I was part of the Innovation Hub first, and I did a lot of customer discovery without even the name, the branding, the idea. So it was just the idea, and then I did a lot of customer discovery, and then recently I went back and did the customer discovery, but actually show them what the app looks like, what the product is now, and the response has been amazing, and that's all due to like Leicester Startup on how to approach them. You just you're not trying to sell them something, you just show that you're trying to help them in what problems they have right now. So my startup is called Apnaki. I'll send the link on the chat right now. The website went out live last week, and all the branding is done and everything. So Apnaki, it unlocks what your city has to offer. So it's a social media booking platform. It's never been done before. I've done loads of customer discovery, and what it is like a messaging service that connects to all the activities in your city, from badminton to five-side football to bowling to even cooking classes. So it brings communities together. It makes small businesses more digital. And one problem that we're solving currently is schools. They can't afford booking systems. So this is a very cheap way to get a booking system and a digital presence at the same time. And it's good for the user side because it can split up from payments. And also everything just streamlined, all automated. And it's looking so good so far. We sent it to Apple. Apple is going to take 2 weeks to check out all the code because they want to check every little bit of the app before it's on the App Store. But we're ready to launch as soon as the legal documents are done next week. And we're going to have 5 to 10 businesses. We're going to trial them out first. everything we've done in-house trials with all the payments. We're using Stripe, so it's all secured. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to see how it helps the businesses and just keep growing. But that is all due to like Let's Start and all the mentors that we've spoke to. The help engine was absolutely amazing. And I still talk to many of those mentors currently. I even speak to like Ben. I keep popping up to him now and then, just making sure that everything is all right and I'm doing everything as best as I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's good seeing everyone again, and hopefully we meet up when all this COVID stuff is over, right?
Thanks, Ash. Thank you for doing something unprepared. So I've got some questions, and just a reminder, folks, if you have them, I know someone has started dropping them in. So in no particular order, not everyone has to answer, but one of the things that I was keen to explore is, so why did you apply to the Accelerator, and what guided you towards this particular one that we run? So yeah, if anyone wants to kick it off.
Could I just, this is going to be quick.
Thank you.
I'd actually been supported by University of Leicester when I put my Women in Innovation Award in, although I had some spectacularly bad advice from one member because they said there was no way I was going to win it the first time I put an application in. But anyway, thankfully they were wrong. Anyway, so I'm sorry about the dog. So yeah, it was the next, it made sense for me to try and be a member of the Accelerator program, because I honestly, if I look at what the Women in Innovation Award has given me, okay, it's given me the cash to do stuff, but the Accelerator program has given me the tools and the knowledge and the network and some of the drive and some of the oomph. So, you know, and I'd really recommend it. And I know that it's also based on other very successful accelerator models, though I only learned that after we'd finished.
If I just add to Emma's response, so I suppose the key thing for me was looking for a local accelerator. I think I started off saying I was very keen to find a technical founder, and I wanted to find one locally based to where I am, just because I think from a way of working that's important. I've obviously moved into a slightly different direction, but I think having people who are sharing the same experience as you in the same vicinity. I know we couldn't meet face to face, but I think we almost certainly will do in a few months when we're allowed to. I think that's an awful lot of it. I think the biggest thing that I felt since the accelerators stopped is almost that moral support that you get. And obviously when we are allowed back out again and can interact properly, I think that will pick up again, albeit the accelerator will have stopped by then. I think the fact that you have people physically in the area and you can meet up physically, I think that's an awful lot of it. So for me, that was the importance of the Leicester element.
Thanks, Nathan.
I think for myself, it was when I came across it. I think it was from a friend that sent me the link originally and said, "Have you seen this?" And then basically, when I looked at the content of what you guys were offering, I think from there it was just basically, "Wow, this looks great," and it was more than what I expected, to be honest. So yeah, definitely, and yeah, I think that's
okay.
Yeah, same as Mandeep from our side is like, that's the power of personal recommendation, but definitely, first of all, of course, Leicester is a great place for food, like there's many restaurants around that. So we were focused on that, but we actually got to Leicester Startups with recommendation that you definitely need to go there. And from there, it was up onwards and upwards, right? We really got the best in using the tools to actually get to meet more people, experienced people, investors. When we actually nailed it. I mean, in reality, we grow so much thanks to that. In those 4 weeks, it was just amazing.
Thank you, Thomas. Have we got anyone else? Harsh, you've kind of done your bit. So next up then, what and I know some of you've touched on this already, the duplication, but the biggest takeaways, we very much use the sort of the lean methodology, the lean principles throughout. But obviously there are many different components to that process. So is there anything, or what's the one thing that stuck out, or the biggest sort of takeaway?
For us, it was how to sell your product. And I think I've touched on this so many times, but I think it's so fundamentally important. As a startup, you kind of think that you've built a product and you're solving a problem, and you go to market and you speak to people and they're like, no, we don't need it. And it kind of kicks you back a little bit. If I talk about my own experiences, we made this platform, a rewards app for businesses. We ran out to businesses and they said, no, we don't need this. And then we came on the accelerator and we figured out, it was almost like back to business 101. Like, how do you sell your product? How do you get customers buying into you as people? How do you get them to trust your product? That was the biggest takeaway for me. Those customer development workshops, helping us understand what our customers look like, who our early adopters are, who to spend time on, how to add value, was so important when you're starting a business. So that was my biggest takeaway.
So just to add to that, and it's interesting because we've got David on the line. I think Drew couldn't agree more. And David, your session for me was one of the ones I thought I knew how to talk to customers and ask questions.
Yeah, it was David's. Yeah, yeah, it was David's session that basically has helped our company so much.
And I couldn't agree more with everything Drew said. You think you know how to talk about a product, and you don't until you sit down and you really think about it, and then you get a very, very different conversation, and you get an awful lot of learnings instead of literally talking about your product and that's it. You actually get the learnings around what people want and what the issues are, which is far more valuable. So yeah, David, the fact you're on this, we can call you directly. So wonderful, thank you.
But I think my biggest takeaway was just a little I knew, and I only found that out at the end. But to be fair, I actually think everything was brilliant. I agree with David's, but it was actually really interesting hearing from other people who've created startups and understanding some of the things that had kind of gone right, wrong. But I think the kind of light bulb thing for me is I've always known that networking was important, but I had no appreciation for what networking on acid could do for my company. And I think that's how you've described it before anyway, but it is like networking on acid. Not that I've ever done acid. Why am I using acid?
Steroids for...
That sounds better. That's probably better, isn't it? Steroids.
Yeah, I'd mirror that as well. I think that's essentially speaking to people that have been there, done that, and knowing the process that they've been through gives that confidence back to us. But then also having everybody else on the accelerator that's new to it, and being able to bounce off each other has been helped massively as well for me personally as well. And I think essentially having those sessions have been a really big eye opener. Just seeing how other people do it, and then just fitting what works well for yourself as well, and taking the best bits and even the worst bits and seeing how you can adapt that to make it better for yourself. So definitely, yeah.
It's amazing how I think there was a real bond between the group, despite the fact that we've not physically met ever yet. I really care what happens to these other people and their companies, because we shared so much and there was such a lot of kind of support that went on through the program as well.
Yeah, we certainly found that on the first cohort as well. You're all in the trenches together trying to sort of follow-up question about this accountability piece on the round tables on Friday. So on Mondays we challenged you to say what you were going to try and achieve by the Friday. So and it didn't always work, and that was probably on us because of the way we recorded it. But did that did it work? Did it materialize the way did it sort of pan out the way you'd expected?
So I think for me, it's good to hold yourself accountable. There's almost something about to Emma's point, letting the team down. You saw what everyone else was doing and how much they were doing in a week or two, that you didn't want to be the person who had done nothing. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of that certainly is to play. And when you see how much you can achieve in a week, it kind of then drives you on to do it the week after week. I think, Drew, you and I were saying it'd be good if the accelerator was almost a bit longer. 6 weeks is very, very short. A longer accelerator, like I suppose a typical 12-week accelerator, would have allowed us to push even further. And I think we could have pushed ourselves harder. I'd have more than happily done that. And going back, I wish we had done. If we'd had that extra 6 weeks, I think we'd have started to get to the next phase. But yeah, there's a bit of self-accountability. There's also the not wanting to let the team down accountability.
I'm wondering if another 6-week thing should be more about scaling, because to be honest with you, 6 weeks, I was knackered. I'd have loved more, but there's so many other things to do. But I have to say as well, Nathan, you're like absolutely, maxed out on the performance, mate. It's like creating your own product. Brilliant.
If we do get this funding I referred to earlier, that'll be a 10-week scale-up program. But there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
What about Harsh? Harsh didn't answer that last question.
What was the question? Sorry.
Biggest learning.
One person, please.
Go on, Emma.
It should be Sam, mate. You're chairing this. You want me to take over?
Well,
the biggest learning from the whole thing.
So, if you think you're ready for launching, do an accelerator program first, and you'll know how much you've got to do. Because before the accelerator, I thought, I'm gonna launch next month, and that's it. Getting into accelerator, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff I've not done yet, like crazy amount of stuff, and that all came from the workshops from I think it was like David himself, and like all the UX UI from the legal side, like even knowing your customers, asking the right questions, all the books to read. If you want to launch your business, don't go on an accelerator program. But if you want to do your business right, go on an accelerator program, because then you'll have everything, every like little stuff covered, and you won't all of it won't bear on you when your product's launched. And when your product is launched, it won't be straight away thrown to trash. It will always pivot and make it better and better. And that's what the accelerator has taught me the most.
Very harsh, thank you. Right, let's jump into some of the questions. For everyone, what difference did you use to nail down? What techniques did you use to nail down your minimum viable product?
Talking to customers. When we first had our idea of our product, we went out to the market, we spoke to small business owners, and then we quickly realized it's not something that they want. So we went back to the drawing board and we tried to identify what they want. But it's always iterating. It'll take you a while to define a minimal viable product, because that is your minimum viable. Up until then, you're always experimenting, you're always changing things, you're always seeing what's working and what's not. So take your time, speak to people, users, businesses, whatever type of model you have, and get as much information as you can. My cousin, my co-founder, the way he says it is it's like a sponge. Be a sponge when you're a founder. Sponge everything in and then squeeze out what you don't want and retain what you need that's going to help your business grow and your product grow. That's my advice.
Thanks, Jude. Anyone else like to add to that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, how many times we actually pivoted and changed strategies? I lost count, literally. It's really talking to the customer. But another thing is, there's a difference between, it's nice to have and a good to, and this definitely the thing that if you do this, done, I'm forever, right, for you. That's where we were, and a good to have. It would be great, but maybe we would lose the customer over 3 to 4 months. But now we don't want that reaction. We again test and test. We go to the customers several times. They give us their time, because at the end of the day, we're actually doing it for them, not for us. So this is where, how many times we iterated, I don't even remember. I know someone just told me, my co-founder and I were never going to be saying okay, I'm going to be with you, helping you with the startup, be a co-founder, because there's a lot of work to do just in one. And that's what we actually learned from the Leicester Startup Accelerator program.
Thanks, Thomas. Anyone else on minimum viable products?
We haven't got one yet. It's going to be a while until we do. But we've kind of gone back to first principles around game design as well. So I had actually got a concept for a game all kind of worked out nicely. And then we've produced some learning objectives. And we've gone, actually, the game that we were going to do isn't going to achieve these learning objectives. So we've changed the kind of game that we're producing. Scary as hell, hey, when I'm so close to having to produce something, because we've got to get something that as a beta version we can test on the 1st of November.
I suppose a lot of that you could take, because you built a physical game first that
Yeah.
was trying, so
Mm.
yeah, so you're then trying to turn that into a digital version, and that's to your
And I
point.
think actually it kind of has helped us. I mean, we knew from the use of the physical versions kind of roughly the value of what it was doing, but actually producing the learning objectives has made us realise what we've been achieving anyway using the physical games. But it's certainly everybody who's in the kind of game development team have all gone, we can't achieve our learning objectives with that particular type of game, so we're having to look at something different very quickly. I won't be doing anything apart from that from the 1st of August to the 1st of November.
2 months.
Right.
Right.
It's all fine. It's all fine. I'm getting
Can I
everything
add something, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah, for minimum viable product, I think people spend too much time to thinking and visualizing. I would suggest just focus on get it done, fail fast. Don't worry about the result. Keep a feedback loop open and open for the changes always. That is the way. If you have a vision and visualize your product, then it will happen, but it will happen only when it is done. If you are going through too much detail, too much thinking about how it's gonna be executed or what is wrong, then it won't. Otherwise, that means, in other words, fail fast, fail quickly. Fast is easier, and then redone it, it's easier. And open it. Keep the mind open for that.
Yeah. Yes. Well done. Clearly read the lean startup guy. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else on minimum viable products? Okay. So I'm just trying to scroll through the questions. No. Okay. So and again, some of you touched on this already. What's the thing that you've missed the most? That, you know, if you could just get that one thing back and have it consistently now for the next 6 months, a year, what might that be?
For me, and excuse my language, it's the, oh shit, he's done this or she's done this and I need to do this. Because like sometimes, like when you can often get distracted when you're starting your own business. You can often get sidetracked when you see other people constantly evolving, developing and doing some amazing stuff. It kind of gives you a kick up the ass, again, excuse my language, to do better. So again, another reason to join an accelerator. You're joining a group of people who are starting a business, who want to, again, excuse my language, get shit done. And it's just an amazing, you need that when you're starting up. You need people to tell you what you're doing wrong. You need people to push you, and you need to do better, essentially. Again, very sorry for my language, but there's no other way to put it.
Passionate language.
So again, agree with that entirely. So I'm a sole founder, and there's evenings that you just don't fancy working. You just don't want to pick up the computer and do a bit more. But if you don't, no one else is going to do it for you. And I think what's nice about the accelerator, to Drew's point, but I won't use the same language, is when you see other people doing it, you do pick up the laptop, you do end up working for those 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and you do get the output. And if you do that consistently every night, you get quite far quite quickly. I certainly found when the accelerator ended, it might be, Emma, what you said, you get a bit of burnout. And I think you can keep on going as long as the thing lasts. If it lasted 40 weeks, we'd have probably kept them going for 40 weeks, and 41 weeks would have collapsed. But certainly when it ended, I found my pace slowed down for a couple of weeks, and it was quite difficult to redrive and get the motivation to pick back up, which I think a co-founder would help with. But equally, for me, who I don't have that, that's I suppose what I supplemented the accelerator with. So just the desire and the constant desire to pick up and do work.
See how competitive we all are, can't you?
Yeah, for me, it's energy as well. I don't know about you guys, but when I tell my business idea to my friend, it feels like a chore. But when I say it to like one of you guys, it feels like a hobby. I don't know how that works. Like when I'm speaking entrepreneur, telling you guys what I'm doing, or should I do this, or even having a conversation, it feels like a normal, like a pub chat, like a conversation, but we're still progressing. But if I do it with my like friends from school, or like people I go football with, it just feels like a chore, and it feels like it's not progressing. So I I missed the conversations, I missed the energy, and it's just like it didn't feel like work. Every time I come on a Zoom call, it's like, oh yeah, Zoom call. It didn't feel like a lecture. So it was so good. And every time I was learning, I was staying concentrated. I wish I had that at uni, to be honest. But yeah, it was really good. Like every single Zoom session, click on the link straight away, and you just know it's going to be a good session.
Thanks, Ash.
I mean, there is something about that kind of knowing that you're going to have these chunks of learning. I love the structure. I kind of miss the structure. And it is the accountability. If if you don't make those promises about what you're going to do, you won't necessarily do them. I think, to be fair, I think the progress for me is now slowed to a kind of level that I can actually cope with without burning out. But I would love to do more of the same again. And I think Harsh called it energy, but to me it was like power. It's just it's like a power bank of kind of ideas and just wonderful stuff coming from everybody. And I agree as well, Harsh, because it's not the same when you try talking to your family and your friends about this stuff. Like, you guys actually take me really seriously. And I know I don't, like, you probably don't take me seriously, to be fair, because I'm always the one saying stupid things. But anyway.
No.
I think it's also because when we're talking to each other, we know how much is involved in what we're doing, how long it takes. And sometimes when you speak to somebody else, you're like, oh, okay, well, what's going on with it? Oh, okay. And you try to explain to them that this is what's happening, this is what I need to do. And we understand that it takes time to build something from scratch. So when you speak to you guys, it's like, yeah, you understand that. But when you speak to maybe your friend, they're like, things supposed to be quicker right now, and you're supposed to be launched, or you're supposed to be doing this. They don't understand, obviously, what is involved in doing that. I think that's where you miss sometimes speaking to you guys. You understand, okay, look, I'm not as far behind as maybe as I thought I was. And seeing everybody else progress is good as well, because it gives you that drive as well. Definitely, yeah. I didn't really think of that, to be honest. I think now you just mentioned that, essentially, I think that's probably the biggest thing we miss about the startups. Yeah.
I can definitely remember a few occasions during the Friday round tables where you were that peer support element. Oh, you should go and speak to this person. Oh, I've got a friend or a family member. There was quite a bit of that going on. So that was great for us to see. That one of the other themes that emerged throughout the 6 weeks was so you've talked about it, some of you already. A technical co-founder, or rather, you didn't have one of those people. Now, Nathan, you went away and just learned how to code it yourself, or get your minimum viable product up. But there was a sort of a 3 or 4 of you that met up to look into that. And Emma, you found someone eventually, didn't you? I don't know if that was as a consequence of this group, but it was great to see sort of there was 3 or 4 of you had this same need, and you just sorted out between you. Off you went. Different
ways of doing it. And I don't think I could do the Nathan way, because I am so underconfident with my tech kind of side of things. I probably could at a push, but I think for the amount of time it was going to take me to do that, when I've got such a lot of other stuff I've got to deliver, to me it feels like, I'd far rather be playing to my strengths. I mean, I am now talking with sort of some of the support I'm having now through the Women in Innovation programme about, how to take things through to the next stage, etc. And that's now good that's appeared and is actually able to fill the gap where Leicester Startups is no longer there. But yeah, the tech thing, I think it's more the fact that this whole idea of not really understanding the benefit of networking in quite the way that I now appreciate it, that you've just got to be so open-minded to, you will find the right thing sometimes at the right time, or you'll find something that is really valuable and you don't even know that you're going to get it. And I think using my gut instinct, I think, is something else that I think I've absolutely decided is the right way with a lot of the sort of, obviously you need lots of important information to make decisions. And I think it was Mandeep who said it about how, I don't know which one of you said it, somebody about how you're given a lot of stuff and you have to decide for yourself which bits of it you're going to take at different times. That's also something I wasn't appreciating at the start of the process. And all of these things I wouldn't have been led to the right person if I'd not had all of those things made clear to me through the programme.
For us, I was just going to say, actually, in terms of a technical co-founder, I think it was Renee who asked that question. I completely sympathize with you because me and Neil aren't technical, but I believe what we've figured out, there's 3 different ways that we can actually get around this problem. The first way is looking offshore, so you can get your product developed offshore. The second way is you do what Nathan did, which is either do some, I guess, a no-code MVP or learn yourself. Or the third way, which is what we're doing now, is looking at a network. And again, to Emma's point, you don't understand how powerful your network is once you actually look into it and you look at all the connections you have on LinkedIn. We're kind of all at the age now where all people that we connected with are in pretty good positions. They've got a wealth of experience, so it's just important you tap into it. We had our product developed offshore, but we're now bringing it in-house because we've got some funding. How we managed to get a technical resource on board at the moment is by looking on LinkedIn. I found a girl I used to work with at KPMG before, and she's brilliant. So we've kicked off conversations, and that's the route we're gonna go down. So there's 3 options. Choose whichever one's best for you.
Thanks, Drew. Anyone else on that point?
Can I add something on CTO? I think finding CTO is a very crucial part of your progress if you wanted to grow. And offshore, that is good thing. But act as or introduce your company as rather than the CTO, than that there's a client, and they will see the potential. If they're technical, oh, this is a missing and this is an opportunity, they will come to you. Definitely. So when you are potentially talk to a technical person and explain them in a very simplest way, and if they're convinced, they will come to you. That is a way to engaging, and networkings are the best tools. I talk to quite a few people all the times. I'm also looking for not CTOs, but I'm a developer, but the business part of it. But then same thing, if you can't explain that concept throughout, then it is really hard to engage with the CTO. And don't think as a other person's benefit, but other way around, that how I can benefit them. Then that will help you to say, okay, yes, this is the things I want to work with you. And to find out the resonance frequency, both have to share the same value. And to find them, it is only way to talk, nothing else.
So just
actually, can I just add something? So yeah. I found my CTO 18 months ago. Now I'm technical, but I needed a CTO anyway. But I've been looking for years. And in fact, when you talk about networking, you use both to find employees or potential partners and customers. So for example, we started a company in December, so it's fairly new, just as 2 of us, but I already know who my first employee is going to be. Right. And, we'll probably make him a job offer at the end of the year. So, you meet people. I probably know who my CMO is going to be. That's probably next year. I know who my COO is going to be. And it's just, you just meet people, and you're not just interested in getting feedback about the product or selling them your product. It's about them as well. It's about their skills, and once you get interested in what they do, sometimes you think, okay, well, they might make you a good employee in the future, or co-founder. So it's worth. So you use networking for both.
And did you find your CTO at one of the Leicester startup events? Is that right?
Indirectly, yeah, indirectly. Actually, first time I met him was at a pub.
Okay.
But it was associated with the Leicester startup community, yeah.
But yeah, just back to your point about the power of networking.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. That looks like a lovely view. Is that real?
I'm going to say yes. I've got a green screen sort of on the side.
Right.
Purchase a picture of it.
Yeah, it looks realistic. Sorry, taking us off track. Where were we? Anyone else on this point?
I was just going to build on the point Ravi made around making sure that people understand what you're doing, and it's not just for them; it's for you. I couldn't agree with that more. So the way I found useful, and it might not work for everyone, was to use a tool called Figma, which is a UX tool. It's free. You can set up a free account. You can download iOS packs or or kind of Android packs with a whole load of components, and essentially you build your own website with kind of drag and drop. It's not a real website, it's look and feel, but the look and feel starts you distilling down exactly what you want to build, what you're missing, where you haven't thought things through, and back to the earlier question, what your MVP is, because you'll end up with the most complicated build with 30, 40, 50 screens that just simply can't be your MVP. And if anything, just getting it down on paper then starts you ratcheting it back. Equally, having a vision and having an MVP keeps you aligned when people do start to ask for features, because I've had that. I've had a product live now for a couple of weeks, or a couple of months actually, and you start to get asked for a load of features, and actually they don't align to where I want to go in the vision. So it's quite useful to have both sides, the MVP and the vision piece. But what was useful is you can then take that prototype. It's a clickable prototype. You can show it on the phone. You know, you'll have hotspots, so it looks like a working prototype. And I took it to a couple of technical companies who effectively quoted off the back of that. So they gave me quotes. I just didn't have the money to pay them, hence why I went down the route I went down. But it gave them something very very solid to quote against, which was really, really useful. So that tool's Figma. There's a whole bunch of other ones, Marvel, Balsamic, etc. Loads of them are free, certainly to do the minimum that you need.
Quick follow up on that, Nathan. Look, if someone like yourself had picked up, I mean, within what sort of, how many hours do you think you would need to get a minimum, very basic? Is it still, because I think, was it 2 days you did back to back? I can't remember what it was.
So Figma isn't Bubble. So Figma is just a UX. So there's no backend workflows. There's no cleverness in that sense. Right. So Figma is just, the best way I can describe it, it's a bit like PowerPoint on steroids. PowerPoint where, and if you're clever, you can download a pack that has components to be dragged and dropped. So whereas in PowerPoint you have squares and circles, you're just happening to drag over headers and buttons and bits and pieces. Very, very simple. Depends on the complexity of your app. So it's not easy to say. If you know what you're doing, within a day you can have 20, 30 decent pages that link together in a really nice way. Getting to know what you're doing might take a couple of weeks, might take less. It's not hugely complex. It's just, if you want it to look good, that's where you can get flow very quickly, but making it look good and making it work, that takes a bit more time. But yeah, a couple of weeks, I think, should be sufficient.
Yeah, that's what we did as well. Nathan said like the same thing. Because about a week we used Figma, and that's basically how we built the plan for the MVP. And it worked around that Figma's great. And on the back of that is what we've given now to a developer within the UK. Now we know exactly the route we're going. Why we're going down that route is because of the Accelerator program. Speaking to customers, what do we want? What is our minimum viable product? What should we build? And on the back of that is how we basically got the blueprint, essentially, in a way, using Figma is what we presented. We're able to give that to various different developers and choose between them and sort of fight for the project as well. So yeah, Figma's really good.
I think it's a danger if you're using that stimuli where that actual perception of the development plan will deviate from that where exactly it won't. So it depends on how well you understand the process. Process should be very simpler to explain, and then it should be able to, any good developer should be able to pick up and develop something what you exactly envision. And personally, my approach is always simplified to say start with the very quick MVP with 80% of functionality as a developer, so that you have something to work with rather than just showing something which is pretended to be there, but then you are trying to spend too much time to find out the right people to doing the job. It is really, really cumbersome. Instead of start with, I know for the non-technical people it's a difficult things, but to hire somebody or delegate somebody, just say that what is the best things, only 10% or less than a 10% things actually you needed to start with. And then it's way easier to come up and grow on the top of it. And don't worry about throwing away entirely if you need to, but that way the process will be lean, very clean, and then you have something to work with rather than waiting to something to develop. That's where to accelerate in my basically experience. I always work, I at the moment 6-7 projects going on, but all are actually have code and something ready to do. It's not perfect, not everything, but it has all the key elements which require to do a business basically.
That's my favourite saying, never make perfection the enemy of success.
Yeah.
However, one thing that we haven't talked about on, with regards to the CTO thing, because I mean, it's been a big deal for me to actually agree employment through an elbow, I hasten to add. We had to elbow on it, right? And I do think for me, it was the values fit that was the most important thing between me and that person, because he's really motivated as well to produce learning around climate change. He's got like 3 kids, that helps. So he's really motivated to do what we're doing. And I don't think at the start, I was way more concerned about finding somebody with the right technical skills, because that's something I don't understand and I don't know about enough. But actually what I've realised is the fit was actually, and the values fit was probably way more important than that. And we've got it. I don't know how. It's universe, you know, dropped it.
Right. Well, we're coming up on time. Has anyone got any more questions, or from our guest today, anything else you'd like to share just to finish off? Any sort of bits of advice? Just before we close, anything from anyone? Silence. Okay.
We want more.
I would say literally never give up. Never give up, and just like continue with your journey. Be passionate. And that's it. It's gonna come if you're actually stubborn enough.
Thanks, Thomas. We are joined by Lewis Stringer from the British Business Bank. Lewis, apologies, I forgot to thank you at the beginning, but you weren't here, but I'm going to thank you now because you are here. The bank was very kind. They supported us with a prize award for the last programme, and again, we have a pitch event coming in September, and they very kindly agreed to support us for that. So thank you, Lewis, for all the support that you've provided to everything that we've done.
You certainly don't need to thank me. I need to thank you guys actually for the great program you delivered, and they say the great program's down to the people that participate in it. And apologies for being late to the call, but just listening in for the last 45 minutes, it's quite clear the value that everybody has got from the Accelerator and the great work they've done. So actually, my thanks are down to you. It's easy to support something that's successful and good.
Kind of, but your connections have led us in all sorts of wonderful directions. So, right, folks, it's a lovely sunny day. We can go and enjoy the rest of it. If well, hopefully some of us can. Thank you, everyone who turned up, and obviously big thanks to all of today's hosts and mentors. Phil Zeidler was on the call earlier. Lewis and David and Regina and others, and Ben, of course. So, yeah, thanks everyone. I will leave you in peace. And if you do want to know more about October's intake, we haven't announced the launch, but you can apply now on our website. And yeah, as I mentioned a moment ago, our pitch event happens in September, so that could be something to aim for. Right. Thanks, folks. See you all soon. Bye-bye.